What's going on, guys? My name is Cap, and this is The Push. Summerslam 2023 just passed this weekend, and it's absolutely going to be one of the events people are talking about for a very long time. Join me as we discuss the good, the bad, the viral, and most importantly, the controversial. So, without further ado, let's begin. Since we're talking about viral, we start off the night with Ricochet vs. Logan Paul, a performer so viral, you swear you feel a bit of a stomachache after seeing him every single time. Now look, despite my feelings about Logan and where he can stick his bottles of Prime, this was actually a really fun match, a lot of really fun moments with a lot of athletic moves from both guys. There was a sick Spanish fly from the apron and an amazing neckbreaker off the top rope by Ricochet. Logan ended up winning the match using brass knuckles, and as much as I hate to admit it, he did need this win because it's been God knows how long since he's actually gotten a W. Curious to see what happens for both. Overall, really fun match. Up next, we had Brock Lesnar vs. Cody Rhodes, and I will ask the same question that literally everybody else on the planet has asked. Why is Brock Lesnar doing this? We are 3 matches in and we still have no clue why any of this is happening. But when you look past the unimportant parts like, a reason for doing things, we actually ended up getting a really good match with really deep. A series of count-out attempts gave Cody the classic bruised but not beaten hero look that we all love, and Brock, as the match progressed, only became angrier, more wild, and turning shades of red I didn't think a human being could turn. The match ended with 3 consecutive crossroads for the Cody pinfall, and after the match, Brock showed his respect to Cody, making us all wonder if this was all some type of test from the Beast. I mean, hey, it's more of a reason than the actual writers have given us, so yeah, why not? So with this feud wrapped up in a nice little bow, the question now remains, what is next for Cody Rhodes? So after 2 great matches, we got a bit of a palate cleanser with the Summerslam Battle Royal, sponsored by Slim Jim. And for a Battle Royal with no stakes whatsoever, this was actually a really fun match to see. I mean, it's a Battle Royal. Those are always fun, right? Highlighted by a return from Omos, a few great Chad Gable moments, and continuing storylines that you forgot were happening. Let's be honest, this match was simply made for LA Knight to win. And when he did, and my God, did the crowd erupt. I think it's an understatement at this point to say that the public is absolutely crazy for LA Knight. He is 100% the fan favorite. So hopefully we can make this meaningless battle royal mean something and launch LA Knight into some type of a title picture. Give this man a title for the love of God. Moving on, we saw Shayna Baszler versus Ronda Rousey in an MMA rules match, and okay, look, a match between Ronda and Shayna has the potential to be great, and I think with more time and a better match stipulation, this could have been a really good match. But it felt like this match suffered a lot because of the previous reasons stated. We just haven't had enough time with these two as a rivalry, and to be honest, MMA rules don't really go well in a WWE type setting. Had you made this a submission match, a fight pit match, hell, bring back the Lion's Den, I think this would have been way better than it actually was. In the end, Shayna ended up getting the win, as she should have, but because of all of these things, honestly, this was one of the weaker moments of the night. Next up, we got Drew McIntyre versus the Intercontinental Champion Gunther himself. You could also call this match Meaty Men Slappin' Man Meat 2. Yes, I still say that joke. This match from the beginning was the definition of a hoss fight. It was brutal, it was physical, and it had more chops in it than you could ever ask for. There were claymore kicks, there were power bombs, and not 1 but 2 different chop exchanges between Gunther and Drew. In the end, Gunther ended up winning the match, and at this point I am absolutely convinced they are going to have him break the Honky Tonk Man's record for the IC title hold. At this point, I just have to wonder, how long is it do they plan on taking this run? You could honestly have enough Gunther matches to last a lifetime, and they would all be 5-star. The guy is just that damn good. But more importantly, though, the question is, what's next for McIntyre? After this, he doesn't really have a story lined up with anybody, so it's kind of interesting to think where they're going to go with him. Next up, we had Seth Rollins versus Finn Balor, a match which, despite having seen about 100 times at this point, is still really entertaining to me, especially when you consider all of the pieces that are involved in this match, all of the stories involving all of the characters involved with this rivalry. One thing you really have to marvel at when it comes to Seth Rollins is the mind games that he's able to play with all of his opponents, this time wearing the same vest he did when he fought Finn at SummerSlam in 2016. Which, speaking of 2016, Finn responded with during the match by hitting Seth with the powerbomb off the barricade, the same move that injured Finn so long ago. Near the end of the match, Damian showed up with the Money in the Bank briefcase and slides it into the rings slowly so that Finn can use it against Seth, only for him to reject it at first. But after a couple of more near falls, that briefcase started to look a lot better to Finn. Eventually, this did backfire on the Judgment Day as while Damian went to distract the ref, Seth hit the stomp on Finn onto the briefcase and got the pin, leaving Finn defeated yet again, and a burningly angry Damian Priest standing on the outside burning a hole through Finn Balor with his eyes. At this point, I absolutely believe that Finn is about to be kicked from the Judgment Day. He needs to just, at this point, hope that the rest of the group doesn't remember that JD McDonough is still around. Yeah, that's right, I still mentioned JD McDonough. Remember when that was going to be a thing? Next, we had the women's main event as we had Charlotte Flair, Bianca Belair, and Asuka all fighting for the women's title. Again, this was a very solid match. Everyone had a lot of great spots, but some of it was clouded due to the injured but not really injured Bianca situation after taking a bad bump off the outside. Naturally, of course, she comes back and gets the win, and the EST is now your new women's champion. However, EST in this scenario stands for shortest, as not even a second later, Io Sky jumps her from behind, cashes in, and is now your new women's champion, seen afterwards hugging it out with the rest of Damage Control. Guess they just worked everything out off screen. Well, that would have been really great to see on camera, guys. Look, I'm super excited to see a new face holding the title, but recently it seems like WWE has this thing where if the woman isn't Charlotte or Bianca, they don't do that good of a job writing things out for them. Look at this entire story. Asuka, who was the champion throughout the whole event leading up to SummerSlam, was not much more than an afterthought during the entire thing. Asuka, an afterthought. Are you serious? Throw in no sign of Rhea Ripley and Trish and Becky getting cut from the card due to time constraints? And you have to admit, for a company who boasts about the women's revolution and being the forefront of the revolution in women's wrestling, their booking is kind of lackluster. I'm happy for Io, but we need WWE to do better than this if she is expected to have a solid title reign. Last but certainly not least, we have the main event of Jey Uso versus Roman Reigns in Tribal Combat, also known as just an Extreme Rules match. And look, to say this rivalry is pure cinema is basically like saying that drinking water is good for you at this point. Everybody knows that whatever happens with the bloodline is pure gold, right? Right? We got a really good match out of this, a lot of fun extreme spots, including the return of chair pileups in the ring, a Samoan drop through the table to Roman off of the apron, and Jey and Solo, who interfered while Roman and Jey were fighting throughout the crowd, going through every table in the arena and every table within a 10-mile radius. But near the end of this match is where things get a bit foggy. Not only did we further see dissension between Roman and Solo after Roman speared Solo by accident, but we got a returning Jimmy Uso betraying Jey and giving Roman the win? I have mixed feelings about this. It feels like the only people that really wanted to see Jimmy versus Jey were Jimmy and Jay themselves. If you listen to a few interviews, they have talked about the idea of wanting to face each other in one-on-one competition. But within the context of the Bloodline story, this makes absolutely no sense whatsoever for Jimmy to do. Remember, it was Jimmy himself who caused the Usos to be kicked out of the Bloodline to begin with. It was Jimmy who convinced Jay to finally snap out of it and stand up to their cousin. So then why would he do something like this and betray Jay, but more importantly, to give Roman just another victory? I'm willing to see where this is going with the brothers, but there needs to be a damn good reason for what happened here. Believe me, this is a story that can be saved, but if it's not an absolutely spectacular reason, then I think that the Bloodline story might just become that always dreaded dead horse for the WWE. So yeah, overall, this was a good show, I would say. There was a lot of good wrestling, and I'm really happy to see that Io Sky has become champion, finally. But due to the lackluster booking when it came to the women's matches tonight, and that utterly confusing story between the Uso brothers now, this show is maybe a 3.5, a 4 at best. It honestly depends how you're feeling about it. I think the main thing everybody's going to be talking about is the Bloodline, and based on what I've seen online, a lot of people do seem to agree with my thoughts, but please do let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Once again, my name is Cap. Thank you for listening to The Push, and I will see you next time.